Well, hey there, soulmates. It's your girl, Dr. Melissa, back with another soul stirring episode of Standing on Business, where it's not just business, it's personal. Today is for the woman who's been dimming her light. Today is for the woman who's being very careful not to take up too much space. Today is for the woman who's been shrinking, not because she's unsure, but because she doesn't want to disrupt the room. So today, soulmates, my message to you is stop shrinking to fit into rooms that you've outgrown. You see, it's time that we talk about what happens when your capacity grows, but your circle, your environment, or even your own identity hasn't gotten the memo. It hasn't caught up. So let's start this episode off with me having you to think about this and answer this question for yourself. How many of you are willing to go on this journey with me? What I want you to do is I want you to answer this question. Where in my life have I been lowering myself to maintain connection, even though I know that that connection is not aligned with my next level? Soulmates, where have you been lowering yourself, reducing yourself to maintain connection, to hold on to something that you know is no longer aligned with where you're called to go? Think about that. Here's the thing. We, and when I say we, I'm talking about all people, but specifically women, we're taught early on how to make ourselves more palatable, right? We're taught to be nice. We're taught not to be too loud. Don't be too smart. Don't outshine. You see, as little girls, oftentimes we are taught to fit into boxes because we don't want to be too much. We don't want to be extra. We don't want to be that girl. You know, if you think about it, back in my day, we used to say what a little girl's made of: sugar and spice and everything nice, right? But here's the thing. Somewhere along the way, that shrinking becomes second nature. It's innate. We don't even have to think about it. We walk into a room and we inherently know that we need to reduce. But soulmate, I'm going to be clear with you. Shrinking isn't humility. Now, I know you were taught that. I know you were taught that be humble, be nice, defer to others, allow others to go first and all of that. And that is the humble way to be. But I'm going to tell you, let's bust that lie up right now. Shrinking is not humility. Shrinking is actually a trauma response. Yeah. Shrinking is a survival response. So it's not about humility. And I'm going to tell you, I've done it. Whew, too many times. Too many times to count. Shrinking was my way of being. I knew early on as a little girl that I was just way too much for some people. And I was told that as a little girl. You talk too much. I had a nickname, Motor Mouth. I talked a lot. I like to talk. I asked questions. Uh, yeah. this mouth of mine get me paid these days. But anyway, I was berated for being too bright, for asking too many questions. I can remember going into the classroom, right? I grew up in extreme poverty down a dirt road. And I've said this before, it doesn't take a science whiz to know that if you live down a dirt road and it rains, you might end up in school with shoes that were very, very muddy. And I'm talking y'all like Virginia red dirt. You can't even play it off, right? And throughout the course of the school day, mud dries. And when mud dries, it turns into dirt. And then you find yourself with this little mound of dirt under your desk. And I can remember trying to push my feet way, way, way back under the desk, like as far back as I could get it. Because I knew that I was going to have this mound of dirt under my desk, and everybody was going to notice, and I was going to be teased about it. So when I talk about shrinking, I'm not even talking about just emotionally. Sometimes, and I see it happen all the time, I'll see a woman walk in the room and you can see her physically try to reduce herself. Like her shoulders will slump, her posture will shrink. You can see it. You can see it in a boardroom. I've been in boardrooms where I made my language softer, my body language went inward. I was shrinking. I've been on stages where I made my story more digestible. And I could feel when I felt that check in me to say, bring it in a little bit. Ooh, way too much. Make it more palatable. Make it more digestible. Make it easier for people to absorb and to handle, right? I've shrunk in relationships where I made my needs smaller. I'm not talking about out of the pocket needs, you guys. I'm talking about basic needs that I started to negotiate away and to compromise away and to make excuses for so that I wasn't putting so much pressure on the other person. I made it more about them. I shrunk. But here's what I'm going to tell you. My shrinking never saved me. That's what's so amazing. I never did better in business or in the boardroom because I shrunk. The kids in my 5th grade class didn't tease me less because I shrunk. My relationships didn't get better because I shrunk. You see, all shrinking ever did was delayed my destiny. So I'm going to tell you, if you are constantly second guessing yourself to make other people feel comfortable, queen, that's not connection. That's codependency. And I came today, I ate my Wheaties, I drank my juice. I came today to break that pattern. So let's talk about why do we stay in rooms that no longer fit us, right? Because most of us know at some level that we're somewhere that we don't fit. We know it. We may not want to say it out loud. We may not want to address it, but we know it here. Our soul knows. I'm as small as I can get. I can't contain myself in this room. So if that's the case, why do we stay? Because we're brilliant, bright women. We're bosses. We're queens. Why do we stay? Well, one of the reasons that we stay is out of loyalty. Sometimes we are loyal to a fault. And oftentimes, that loyalty is not to ourselves or our purpose or our soul. Our loyalty is to this misguided sense that we need to be everything to everyone. And if we don't accommodate other people, we're disloyal, right? So we stay out of loyalty. Another reason that we stay It's that F word, y'all. Fear. We're afraid. Sometimes we're afraid of what's next. Sometimes we're afraid of being alone. I'll talk more about that. Sometimes we're just afraid of being misunderstood. So we stay because we keep trying to make people see us and understand us. And we have this thought that if we're misunderstood, it's because we haven't worked hard enough to be understood. I'm going to tell you, sometimes you're misunderstood because the person that you're trying to get to understand you, it's not their benefit, to their benefit to understand you. So actually, there's an advantage for them to keep misunderstanding you because then that puts the ownership back on you. If you're misunderstood, then there's something you're doing wrong. You need to do a better job at being clear. You need to do a better job at being understood. So we stay out of fear of that. We stay because we remember who we used to be. And we're so doggone afraid of outgrowing the people who met us there. Oh, that's such a big one. I often say, I phrase that in this way: we're being held hostage to our history and not released to our destiny. There was times that I defined myself by who I used to be, and oftentimes not even who I used to be, who people needed me to be, how people defined me. Because soulmates, what I realized is that for a great many years of my life, my identity was wrapped up into who other people saw. I would literally walk into any situation and look into their eyes to see the reflection of who I was based on how they saw me. If they saw me as the poor kid, I was the poor kid. If they saw me as the good girl, I was the good girl. If they saw me as the over talker, I was the over talker. Like whatever it was, my identity was wrapped up and shaped into other people's concept of me. I never defined who I was. Literally, and I didn't do this out loud, but literally, I would walk into every situation and I would basically say to them, who am I? What do you see? What's good about me? What do I need to change? Do I have any value? Am I worth anything? All of those questions I laid at the feet of the different people in my life. And I gave them the power and the control to answer those questions for me that honestly only me and my creator should have answered. And soulmates, we do that often. But I need you to hear me. You cannot evolve and stay available to everything and everyone that shaped your past. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Some people are seasonal people. And we get hurt when we try to make seasonal people lifetime people. They were never meant for the lifetime. They were wonderful in that season. And here's when we get hurt: when we don't have the courage to admit that that season has passed. Because listen, y'all, it's like a jug of milk. Go to the grocery store, get you some milk. It's good when you get it. Tastes good, smell good. It's good. Good for your body. Milk does the body good. But there's an expiration date on that milk. And I promise you, a couple weeks later, the same thing that was so good is so bad. It's stinking up the whole place. The whole joint is smelling like spoiled milk. You can't drink it because it'll make you sick. And if you choose to hold on to something that has expired, I'm telling you, um, it starts to spoil our next season. Okay? So learn the good and goodbye. Like, hey man, it was wonderful. Oh my goodness, for that season of my life, for where I was, for who I was, for what I understood about myself, this was fantastic. This was the perfect job. I will tell you, my job at McDonald's was wonderful when I was 16. At 55, I wouldn't be able to keep up. I promise you, your fries would be cold. If you were waiting for me to drop the fries and get them to you in a hot minute, it just wouldn't happen. That season passed for me. Great for whoever's in that season. Even if you're my age and you're there. Amen. But for me, that season shifted. And so I want you to think about the way we do relationships. It's like staying on your first job. Like, really. But then saying, oh, I'm ready for financial freedom. Oh, I'm ready for wealth. Like, could that happen at that job? Probably not. So we need to understand that it's okay to shift. Here's what I'm going to say. Everything that you have gone through, all of the connections that you've had in the past, all of it was necessary. Shameless plug on my book. It was necessary. All of it, all of them, every experience, it was necessary. But not all of it is for the next. And you've got to be discerning enough to say, this will not serve me at the next level. I've got some jeans in my closet. They were cute, cute when I was 25. Baby, at 55, I had to let that go. Because what used to look so cute now looks like a hot mess. Okay? I want you to understand that growth can feel like grief. But you can grieve and grow all at the same time. Queens, I've done it. I've had to do it for the last several years of my life. I had to grow while grieving, right? And for me, the grief came and then I had to decide to grow. For some of you, the growth has to happen. And you've got to learn how to deal with the grief that comes from the growth, because you may have to say goodbye to some things, some people, some places, some mindsets that have served you so well in the past. And it's not that they were bad for that moment. They weren't bad. You needed it. You needed that for that time. But you're too big for it now. So understand that staying small to keep other people comfortable is not legacy. It's stagnation, right? So if your voice, if your brilliance, if your ideas feel too big for the room, sis, you're not arrogant. You've simply outgrown that particular room. So most of you know that I'm a big journaler, right? So what I want to do is give you a journal prompt, because when this time is over, when we're no longer sharing this space together, I need to inspire you to take the next steps, to get into action, to stop the shrinkage, right? And start the shining. So I'm going to give you this journal prompt that I want you to later on in your quiet time, I want you to just write on this. And here's the prompt. What version of me am I still shrinking to protect? What version of myself do I know that I'm shrinking to protect? And what version of me is ready to be seen? There's one part of me that's still shrinking because I'm trying to protect this relationship. I'm trying to protect this job. I'm trying to protect this iteration of my life. I'm trying to protect this identity that I have. So you've got that part that's shrinking. Then you've got this other part that simultaneously, if you are listening to me, there's a part of you right now that's saying, I'm ready to be seen. I'm tired of shrinking. I'm tired of playing small. I'm tired of reducing myself so that you can be big. I'm tired. I just want you to see me. So I want you to take some time and write on that and reach out to me and share what came up for you. Okay? So we're shrinking. And trust me, if you looked in the dictionary at the word shrinking, you might see a picture of me like I understand. But I want to give you today 3 ways that you can own your own space without apology. Okay? And I'm going to tell you this these steps, these ways that I'm going to give you, I didn't read about them in a book. They're lived experiences. You see, I've walked this walk. I'm not just talking the talk, I've walked this walk. These are the ways, these are the steps that I took to stop shrinking and then to start standing fully in my brilliance. And it's a daily decision. This is not one and done. Every day, every day I wake up and I decide to show up. I decide to shine. The first way, I need you to give yourself permission to be seen, even if it shifts the dynamics of people around you. I need you to give yourself permission. And if you can't give yourself permission, Dr. Melissa today will give you permission. I just wrote out the permission slip. You have permission to be seen. Y'all remember back in the day when you needed to go to the restroom at school and you had to get the permission slip? Like if you were in the hallway without the permission slip, you could get in trouble. I just wrote your permission slip. You get to be seen fully and completely as you, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. Because soulmates, growth will make other people uncomfortable. They need you to stay in that box. They need you to stay in that box. Not because they're mean people, but because they are people who are trying to get their own needs met. And so I need you to, I don't need you to be trying to grow and all of that. No, no, no. You need to stay right there because you're standing there, your sense of loyalty, your definition of loyalty, your fear, all of those things that keep you in that room makes my life easier. And so anytime you want to grow, I will tell you there's little comfort in the growth zone and there's little growth in the comfort zone. Okay? So number 2, I love this one, y'all. I need you to lead without explanation. Honey, let me say that again. Somebody in the back, you left, you went to get something to drink. Come. Sis, I need you to lead. I need you to live without explanation. You see, you don't need to justify your next level to anybody. You don't need to explain why there's another level. And the truth of the matter is, sis, we get upset because people don't understand and they couldn't possibly understand it. It's not their calling. It's not their vision. God didn't give them that dream. And so I cannot tell you how many years of my life I would be upset and then I would just abandon what I needed to do because I couldn't get agreement. I'd be trying to tell these wild ideas, stuff like, oh, I think I need to be a CEO. What? Oh, I think I need to be an author. Huh? Oh, I want to be on TV. What? Crazy dreams. Maybe not, since I'm living them now. But I would try to explain that, and I would get that glazed over look like, what are you talking about? And then I would get dejected because I would say to myself, oh, it's crazy. You're right, that is crazy. Man, I'm a poor girl from the dirt road. Man, that's so silly. Of course I can't. Who do I know that's ever done that before? And I would just abandon my own dreams and my own callings and those visions and things that have been put in my heart. We do that too often. But it's because we're trying to get agreement. We want everybody to say, yes, yes, you will be a millionaire. Uh, yes, yes, you can start your own business. And if it's not their calling, of course they can't see it. They're not necessarily trying to hold you back. They just don't see what you see. Stop waiting for them to see it. Stop justifying. When I say lead without explanation as well, it takes me to one of my favorite phrases. No is a complete sentence. No, period, dot, exclamation point, asterisk, all the other things. No. Can you do this? No. And I promise you, people will wait for you to explain. They're like, you say no, and they're like, and they're waiting for you to justify or make the case as to why you will not do what they ask you to do. And too often, we go into full explanation mode, trying to justify why I don't want to do something that I don't want to do. And I am telling you, I set myself free when I learned that no was the whole sentence. There was like nothing after no. No. And when they lean in, I lean in too. When they wait, I'll. Anything else? No? Okay, great. No. So remember that authority is quiet. You don't need to do a lot of talking. Like, you don't need to justify. Number 3, I want you to normalize your power. This is not some pie in the sky thing. Your power, let's normalize that. Because I think sometimes we're like, oh my goodness, if I could only walk in my power. What if walking in your power is as normal as breathing? Because it just is. I don't have to show up and work hard to be Dr. Melissa. I just am Dr. Melissa. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's not something I have to be excited. Oh, today I get to be No, I'm Dr. Melissa all day long and twice on Thursday. In the mirror first thing in the morning when we need to, do a little work. I'm still Dr. Melissa. I'm still that chick. I'm still that girl. I'm still that woman. See, when you talk about normalizing your power, here's the thing. If you always feel too much, the problem is not you. The problem is that you're in the wrong room. If in your life you feel like you're doing the most, it's not you, sis. You're not in the right circle. When you get aligned to the right people, you don't feel like too much because that room can hold you. That room needs you. Like, you walk into that room and that room is like, where have you been? Not, oh my goodness, whew, turn it down a little bit. Because you see, this is not the season for whispering your worth. This is the season for walking into what already belongs to you. Queen, your light does not need dimming, but it does need direction. Because sometimes we're shining, and particularly when we're in the wrong room, we blind everybody around us. We suck up the oxygen in that room. And when I say normalizing your power, I can tell you personally, I used to coach myself before I walked into a room, and I would say, okay, calm down. When you go in, just chill out. Don't talk too much. Don't dance too much. Don't be extra. Try to be sophisticated. Just, calm down, Melissa. You suck the oxygen out of the room, and then people are upset with you because they feel like you're being the most and you're doing the most. And I spent years having that conversation with myself and then going into a room and not being authentic, trying to be quiet when I'm a talker, trying to sit down when I'm energetic, trying to look shy when I'm not. Your light doesn't need dimming. I learned that when I put myself in rooms that could accommodate me, There was a bunch of people in there bright. I didn't suck the oxygen out of the room at all. Like they wanted my light. Like, girl, where have you been? So you don't need to dim, but you may need direction. So here's what I want you to say. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to say this with me. I no longer shrink to fit. I expand to lead. And I'm telling you, that's not just mentally, that you can feel that in your body. When you embody that, I no longer shrink to fit. When I'm in the boardroom, when I'm at the conference room, when I'm taking care of something with business, I take up space physically, intentionally. Because for so long I would be closed off and, you know, with a real tight posture, like real buttoned up. But I have learned that when I expand, put my shoulders back, I put my arms on the conference table, and I take up space. I visualize myself taking up space. Like, hey, there's no room beside me. I got this corner on lock. I got this whole corner, right? When I do that psychologically, there's something different that happens. I'm open. I'm wide. I'm vast. I'm bold. I'm fearless. I'm in my power. So we don't shrink to fit. We expand to lead. Okay? Well, I'm going to tell you, soulmates, we've come to the end of our little chit chat for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for taking the time to spend with me on this show, Dr. Melissa, Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa. I'm hoping that today's discussion has ignited a fire within you to embrace your authenticity, prioritize your purpose, and become the CEO of your own life. Listen, Queen, if you've been hiding in plain sight, if you've been holding back your voice, your brilliance, your gifts, just to maintain connection, I want you to know there is a room where you can be all of you. You ready for that kind of space? Good. Then I want to invite you to my free Facebook community, Women with Purpose, Power, and Profits. This is the place where ambitious women can stop performing and start aligning. This is the place where we redefine success together and where your purpose gets to breathe again. So this is for all of my sisters and for my like-minded brothers. We'd love to have you there as well. So go on and jump into that community, and I cannot wait to support you there. So join me next time as we dive deeper into the strategies and mindset shifts needed to build a purpose-driven life and business. Remember, you are purposeful and you are powerful. I believe in you, and I cannot wait to see the incredible things that you're going to achieve. So until next time, my dear soulmates, keep standing up, keep standing out, and yes, keep standing on business. Bye for now.